What's the latest on Erling Haaland? Is Jarrod Bowen injured? Who is the best captain for Game Week 21? And I've got an update regarding upcoming fixtures. These are my thoughts going into Game Week 21. I'm going to start the video by talking about the man himself, Erling Haaland. Now, he has been spotted in training in the last week. Pep Guardiola himself has said that he's taken part in 2 or 3 training sessions now. I mean, there's no absolute confirmation as to whether he's going to play, but I do have a couple of Twitter accounts that are really useful. FPL Main Road, who has already said he expects Haaland to play in Game Week 21, and FPL Tony as well. Both these accounts share early Man City team news on Twitter, so do keep an eye out for them before the Friday deadline. My opinion, I think Haaland's going to play. You know, we've seen 2 or 3 training sessions out of him now. He was fit and bouncing around on the Man City bench when they won against Huddersfield. And yeah, I just think he's going to be back for Game Week 21. I think he has been saved for the Newcastle away fixture. It's obviously a really tough one. Pep Guardiola is going to want to go full strength. Not going to take any risk when it comes to Haaland. But come Game Week 21, I do expect him to be fit. And, well, if he is, he's obviously the best player in the game, particularly without Salah and Son around at the moment. And yeah, he's an absolute shoo-in for your team and probably the best captain too. So as we know then, Jarrod Bowen limped off after the game against Bristol City with what looked like an injury. Quite unfortunate obviously for owners, and of course if you've made an early transfer on him, you're probably going to be a little bit worried. Although I do have some good news for you, or at least think some positive news. His game isn't for basically a couple of weeks. He plays Sheffield United away on the 21st of January. He does have a cup replay against Bristol City in the next week or so. I know that because I'll be going to the game as a Bristol City season ticket holder. But I think he's going to be fine, particularly for Game Week 21. He might well be rested for the cup replay, but given the game for Game Week 21 is in nearly 2 weeks' time, and Bowen, of all the players in the league, he has literally one of the best injury records. He's missed 1 game this season with an injury he picked up on international duty. I imagine most of you remember that. And before that, the only record I could find of him being injured is a 2-day knock that he suffered back in 2020. That's it. We did have a little bit of an update from Moyes in his post-match press conference. He says we'll hopefully find out that the various players that got injured for West Ham on the day are okay, but he needs to wait and see. So yeah, he got a bit of an update, but not particularly conclusive. I do think he did walk off the pitch under his own steam as well. He was helped by a physio, but he did walk off the pitch. He wasn't exactly stretchered off. I've just got a feeling he's going to be fit for Game Week 21. What that means, though, if you are an owner of Bowen currently is, well, I'd keep him. If I didn't have him and was considering buying him, I'd probably avoid doing that for Game Week 21, to be honest, just because you don't want to take the risk. There is, of course, a chance that he doesn't feature, and the last thing you want to do is bring in a player that's amber flagged and then they don't play, right? You don't want to spend a transfer on an injured player. So I'm saying if you've got him already, I'd definitely keep him. And if you're looking to buy him, I'd probably look elsewhere. Now, I think a really important topic to discuss for Game Week 21 is who is the best captain. Now, in my opinion, I've come up with 7 potential captaincy options. You can see them here on screen, and I've broken down by their particular attacking stats. Now, as I said when talking about Erling Haaland, if he's declared fit for Game Week 21 and he starts against Newcastle, I do think he's probably the best captain. However, we know, of course, how good Newcastle are at St James's Park. Yes, they've been in a bit of poor form in the Premier League of recent, but given they've just beaten their local rivals in Sunderland, looking how buzzing that squad was after that victory, the fact that the game is against, well, Man City at St James's Park, I mean, personally, I would back Newcastle to beat anyone at St James's Park. I really would. I think they're excellent at home. So that does kind of put me off Man City as a whole a little bit for that particular fixture. But I just think with Erling Haaland, I mean, he's the best striker in the league, right? And probably the best player in FPL. So if he's fit, I think he's the best captain. But outside of that, and of course, if you don't fancy bringing Erling Haaland back into your team straight away, there's 6 other options you could go for. I think if I were to say my favourite on this list, probably give it to Cole Palmer. Just the fact he's been in such good form. Chelsea are at home against Fulham, who, well, they've been all right, but they've been conceding goals, and he's the clear penalty taker and talisman for them. And I'd say kind of count that for Saka as well, but Cole Palmer's probably been in the better recent form. And looking at his stats, he's pretty much got the same level of returns from, well, 7 less starts. And per 90, his expected returns are the best of everyone on this list, bar Erling Haaland. So I'd say Haaland the number 1 captain, Palmer as the number 2. I would say if you're looking to go really differential or looking to gain, the second chance game has started, of course, in game week 21. And if you're looking to get yourself ahead of the pack, I'd really consider Ivan Toney as an option. I don't have any stats for him this season. Of course, he's not played a game yet. But looking at the 22-23 stats, he scored 20 goals and got 4 assists. And, well, Forest at home is his first fixture. He gets some reasonably tough ones after that. But looking at his record last season, scored a goal against Man City at the Etihad. So he's not, out of the picture when it comes to difficult fixtures. Bumo not being in the team is a little bit of a factor there, but I would say, as differentials go, right, Ivan Toney is one of the best and one of the most secure as well. I think he's going to start. We all know he takes the penalties. We all know he plays 90 minutes. He played a game for Brentford, well, a warm-up game for Brentford for the under-23s weekend just gone, and he scored a hat-trick in that one. Now, I'm not saying under-23s is the same level as the Premier League, but he certainly looks fit and ready to go. As for other options, Foden, again, I just think that the Newcastle fixture kind of puts me off captaining him. He has been in good recent form, but with KDB being back in the team and Haaland as well, I'm not sure he's going to start. Trent, I think, is a really good option against Bournemouth away. He's obviously a player that can get, returns from 3 different routes. Obviously, goals, assists, and he's got 7 clean sheets in total. So if you add all that together, that's 13 attacking returns. Well, 13 returns from 17 games, right? That's competitive with the likes of Bukayo Saka and Cole Palmer, so I do think he's a good option. But Bournemouth away, with the form that Solanke's in, I'm not 100% sure he keeps a clean sheet, so that would put me off a little bit. Alvarez, yes, he's a good option, but obviously if Haaland is fit and plays, he won't be on the penalties for Man City, and I'm not sure his attacking returns will be quite as good as they have been recently, because he's not going to be the main man for them if Haaland starts. So for that reason, I'm saying Haaland is the number 1 captain, Palmer is the number 2, Saka is my number 3, and then Toney if you want to go different. Now that's my opinion on the captaincy out the way, but I thought it would be worth showing you what DraftHound thinks in terms of expected points. Now, they actually have Phil Foden as the number 1 player in Game Week 21 for expected points. He's ahead of Alvarez and Grealish, with Palmer and Trent Alexander-Arnold in 4th and 5th. Now, of course, like I said, I gave my opinion. I thought it would be worth giving you something from another source. So with all that combined, let me know in the comments, bar Haaland, who you think the best captain is. And finally then, I just wanted to talk about what the FA Cup results mean for upcoming fixtures. And a big thank you to Ben Crellin. Full credit to him for doing all the fixture genius work that he does. But he's given us basically a view of how Game Week 29 currently looks ahead of the FA Cup draw. So basically, if a team gets through to the FA Cup quarter-final, they will not feature in FPL Game Week 29. So it looks like we've got a load of blank fixtures coming up, basically. Brighton, Man City, Fulham and Tottenham are already confirmed as blanks. They're all through to the quarter-finals and, of course, won't feature in FPL Game Week 29. So all of those teams will be out. You can see through the key there, the teams in red and white, they're the teams that are through to round 4 and won't play in Game Week 29. So there's already, by the looks of it, a lot of blank game weeks. But that means, of course, that teams have to be through to the quarterfinals to cause that blank. But yeah, it's interesting to see how many of those teams, could be causing a blank, basically, and how many transfers or chips might have to be played to get through that game week. Basically, my opinion, there's 2 ways you can get through a blank game week of the potential magnitude of Game Week 29, right? That's, of course, to play your free hit. Your free hit, you can make unlimited transfers to that game week and cover with teams that are obviously playing. But looking at the way things go, we've got Luton and Forest, Burnley and Brentford as the fixtures. So that's not exactly that exciting. But given that all of the other teams won't feature, it could well be worth a free hit chip. Another way you can do it is you can dead end your team into Game Week 29, buy as many of the players that are featuring as possible, and then play your wild card in Game Week 30 for the rest of the season. And yeah, pick a team to do you well from the teams, of course, that blank. Those are 2 ways to play it, really. Certainly, if you've used your free hit already, I think you'd be looking quite worried about Game Week 29 at the moment. But yeah, I'd say the free hit's probably the best way to play it by the looks of it at the moment. Obviously, more information will emerge when we get the cup draw and, of course, some of the replays. And we do still have some games to be played from the FA Cup, but it's certainly looking like Game Week 29 is going to be a big blank. All right, and that's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed that. Let me know in the comments who you're going to captain this game week and what your thoughts are for blank Game Week 29. If you enjoyed the video, please leave me a like rating. Subscribe to the Golden Goal channel that should be just there. and I'll catch you in my next video.